Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to SimPlay Motorsport. My name is Dan Davis, and I'll bring in you all the action once again live here at Paul Ricard for the 8th round of the season. And obviously the Pro-Am and the Pro Boys have had a couple of weeks where we've been missed out. So this is technically week 8, but round 7, obviously due to the way things have been. It hasn't quite gone the way we would like here at SimPlay. Obviously, with the servers being a bit strange the last couple of weeks, it has really been a bit of a ball ache, if I'm brutally honest. But either way, we are live, we are back, and we are racing once again. We had a great night's worth of racing last night on the Who Darren Cup, and if you missed that, then please head back and have a watch of that video as well. Myself and Alexi bringing you all the action there. But we are back with GT3 action, and we are back with the Pro-Am boys, the bronze and silver drivers on circuit here this evening at the very, very challenging circuit of Paul Ricard. And we got already a few people in the chat. Benedict Varga in the chat. Everything should be okay now. Everything should be up to date. Obviously, the issue that we had with the Xbox users is every time they joined the server, their wheel would turn completely to one direction and then have a complete spammy and decide to not run and not work properly and get stuck. And even if they tried to save a setup as well, the setup would never actually save either. So it has been a bit of a ball like ACC, but now it is up and running once again, and we can continue as normal. We got Paul in chat saying good evening or good luck to all the drivers tonight. Looking forward to this. Looking forward to getting back on the grid soonish, even more though. So nice to hopefully see you back on track soon, Paul. And we've got Mac in the chat. Afternoon / evening, SimPlay and chat. Hope you're well. We are doing very well, thank you, Mac, and tips in the chat saying good evening all. But thank you all for joining in and watching this event. And like I said, it should be a good one this evening, as Vitas is currently at the top of the session at the minute in that McLaren, and the McLaren looking very, very solid around this circuit. We've got a new driver, and again, I'm going to probably get new names completely wrong, so if drivers do hear me pronouncing their names wrong, please feel free to drop me a message to let me know. Gary Clark in the chat saying evening all as well. Bosch, I'm going to go with, is currently second at the minute, currently 9/10 off of Vitas' pace at the minute, but we don't know what they're running in practice at this stage. Obviously, coming into this event, Langley has been leading this championship quite comfortably out in front until recent weeks, where Vitas has just wrapped it up another gear and has brought the gap down. The championship standings, if I have a look at where Langley is, hopefully he's on circuit. He's not set a lap time either, nor is Vitas on track, so we'll leave Bosch on circuit. Langley leads the way with 567 points to his name, 68 ahead of Vitas in the championship. 144 back is that of Sam Greaves, and Flores sat in P4. Fandango P5 with P6 going away of Varga. P7 is Wolfsky with Unsworth in 8th. 9th is Old Sim Racer, while in 10th is Richie. 11th is Gabino with Aberdeen in 12th. Craig in 13th with Saunders in that 14th place position. Taylor sat in 15th with Argent in 16th. Lee 17th with Johnson in 18th. 19th is Smith with Bolton in 20th. 21st is Nuke Waste, while in 22nd is The Block. 23rd is Sam Williams, and in 24th is Benny Archer. KLF sits in 25th, but we won't see him until Donny later on in the season. Bell in 26th, while Betterson is in 27th. Storrock in 28th. Paul Williams sat in 29th with Wheel in 30th. Atherton sat in 31st, while 32nd is Tucker, Best 33rd. Marshall 34th with Goodwill sat in 35th. Marston in 36th. 37th is Andrews. New driver tonight we have is, again, I'm probably going to get this wrong, is Vereth. I'm going to go with Vereth. Tell me if I get this wrong or not. But Vereth in the server tonight in the Lamborghini, and we're meant to be also having, I believe, Gary Leach also racing with us as well. So we shall see how that all pans out, but that is your drivers' standings at the moment. The team standings looks like this. 4Q Motorsport still lead the way in the powered Lexus car, while No Gas, No Glory is sat in P2. P3 is Cloud9 Racing, while P4 is Team Audio Sport. Greasy Bandits Racing in P5 with SimPlay Racing in P6. NLR Racing in P7, while Soldor Racing is in P8. Team Merlot in P9, while P10 is 2Cs Racing. 11th is Black and Blue Racing, with 12th going away with Lexi's Industries. 13th is OWR Racing, with Quantum Motorsport sat in 14th. Rapid Rabbits GT in 15th, while 16th is Team GBR. Team BSR sat in 17th, and 18th is OGR. And that is your championship standings. Bolton now in P4 with Williams sat in P5. And if you are new to the channel, this is how it works here this evening. We will start things off in a practice session which the guys are currently in at this moment in time, and with this practice session gives them a chance to kind of get the idea of the conditions, the server, and how everything's feeling in general of the car. And also with that, it also allows them to test weight of full fuel, no fuel, tires, whatever we are thinking. Matthias in the chat saying, how many drive-throughs do you reckon there will be tonight? I'm going to go with an average of probably 6 or 7 in the feature. Typically saying is go for 5 for the feature, 3 in the sprint, 5 in the feature for Paul Williams in the chat. Seems to be the recurring conversation, seems to be how many drive-throughs is what we get here in the Pro-Ams. I don't know how much it is in the Pros, so I just know that's a recurring conversation in the Pro-Ams. So once we get the practice session done and out of the way, then we head into the sprint race straight away. No qualifying session because it is based on a championship reverse grid order for the sprint race. 15-minute sprint race. Obviously a pit stop is required. 1 litre must be added. That is it. They don't need to do anything else. If they wish to change tyres, that is up to them, but not necessarily needed for that one. And then we go into the qualifying session. We're going to a short practice session for the guys to recover, for myself to sort myself out ready for the next session, going into a 10-minute qualifying session. That will then determine the grid for the 70-minute race coming up later on this evening. A lot of cars now out on circuit. The feature race will be 70 minutes long and 1 pit stop again required, with the pit window opened at 50 minutes, so they can pit within that time at any point. And obviously tyres and fuel is optional. Obviously the more fuel they put in, the higher the time it will take. A mandatory 30 seconds for tyre change anyway. So that's it, that's how it runs. And also, if you're new to the channel as well, you see the colours on the numbers, that represents the different classes. So in the GT3 SimPlay League, we have 4 individual classes. The Platinum and Gold are primarily for pro drivers. So the white is Platinum and Silver for them is Gold in the top class. In Pro-Am, the silver dedicates towards a silver class itself, and then the red means bronze. So obviously the kind of puts you more at a class range, so you can see kind of who you're racing up against and the kind of level of the driver that you're going wheel to wheel with. Nicely peaceful stepdad in the chat. Good evening everyone, and good luck tonight, and a good luck to all the drivers this evening. It's nice to be back racing once again at this fantastic circuit that is Paul Ricard. And I have some fun facts about the Paul Ricard circuit. Back in 1970, the track was opened in April 19th. And obviously the creation of Paul Ricard circuit. The first Formula 1 race was back in 1971, and it's held 14 races all the way up to 1990. Back in 1973, motorbike French Grand Prix, and then obviously the French motorbike Grand Prix circuit has been introduced for 13 races all the way up to 1999. Obviously a few seasons of that happening, and then new turns were introduced in 2001. The 2002 introduced the blue line designs that you see scattered around the circuit. In 2003, the Montreal chicane was added in to help slow the cars down and make it a little bit more safer, and same for bikes as well. And in 2005, the Suzuka V1 and V2 turns were added in, the S sections, which I don't think we run actually on this version. And we've got the 2 Lexuses going around together. Bolton seems to find a little bit of time. Let's see a driver a little bit further back. Let's go on board with Gabino, shall we? Back in 2007, its first Centre of Excellence was introduced and awarded by the FIA for motorsport safety, so then it was upgraded as well due to that, and it allowed its reopening back in 2009 to the public. 2011 then saw multiple bike events and scooter events come back to the championship, including the 125cc training course. In 2013, it also held its first Spartan race, and its opening of the driving centre, 1.6 kilometres, driving facilities, and a driving course company's events as well. 2014 saw the return of the trucks for the first time, and obviously they're reaching their top speed around this circuit as well. And ever since then, it's held many events. Its first and additional Sunset Run, which is a marathon that they run here in 2017. And obviously 2018 saw the return of Formula One back to the circuit. 28 years since the last Grand Prix was held here at the Paul Ricard, and the winner of that race was Lewis Hamilton. And it's not ever been the never been the most interesting circuit nonetheless. In 2020 was its 50th anniversary, and then obviously nowadays Jean Alesi is now the president in 2023 of the Circuit Paul Ricard circuit. So there you go, there's a quick rundown of the track. The track information itself. We'll get the length and information about that right now. The current format, I said, opened back in 1970. The current layout without the chicanes, which is the one we're running tonight, it is a 5.7 kilometer circuit, 3.5 miles long with 13 turns, and a lap record held by Nick de Vries of a 140.1. GT3s, on the other hand, I believe is just under the 2 minutes. Yes, it is. It is a 159.3. And the Lamborghini Huracan GT3 Evo set back in 2019. And I believe the ACC record around here, I think, is in the 52s, I believe. I'll try and find that information out. But I'm pretty sure that is what the paces are. But nonetheless, guys, please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit that bell to be notified so you don't miss anything here at SimPlay Motorsport. And yeah, it looks like the 52s is kind of the benchmark, and I think it's set by a Mustang, according to the Coach Dave lap time. So 52.1 is the record around this circuit, and it's nice to see Skunky in the chat getting his predictions in. 10 drive-throughs in the main race. I also have 167 different track layouts. All of them are rubbish, says Paul. Paul Ricard, plenty of rhythm sections, speed along straight, and to get a slip of coffee if you like. Nice to see Martin in the chat again. And good evening, everyone. Let's hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit that bell to be notified. Right, we've all did predictions on who you think is going to get as many drive-throughs and so on, but let's hear about who you think is going to win this race. We're currently on board Mr. Langley, and one of the things I introduced to the channel, which was nice to add to mainly the commentators and obviously for you guys as well, is I asked the drivers to fill out a form to kind of get us to know one another. And we're obviously our championship leader, the man we're currently looking at the minute, Glenn Gray is his first name. He also uses his YouTube and Twitch account, which is F1N Fan 72. So if you are interested in seeing his streams, then feel free to do that. And he is from the United States. The thing that makes me feel incredibly old is he was born in 2004, so he's about 20. He's 20 years old, roughly, around that, 21 years old. And he's a pad user. He uses the controller. So if you think that oh, you know, sim racing is only for guys who uses steering wheel and pedals, no, Langley and Overtaker are very much controller users as well, but he has used a steering wheel in the past, but chooses to use the controller. His favourite car is the Ferrari 296 and Mustang GT3 on ACC. He's a part of the Quantum Stadium as well. And his favourite form of motorsport is Formula 1 and IndyCar. His icons and heroes is Lewis Hamilton, Kyle Kirkwood, which is an IndyCar driver, and Jamie Johnson, which I believe is a NASCAR driver as well. And his favourite circuit all time is the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, any form or version of that. The Ford GT40 is his favourite race car of all time. And other hobbies and interests, he loves his sports. He's a massive sports enthusiast, and mainly American football and other motorsports as well. Full-time student at the moment, and his favourite motto is "It's not over until it's over," and that is very correct, Langley. A little bit of insight to one of our drivers there, and your championship leader as well. And I will try and go through a couple of these as well, just to kind of give you an idea of how, just to kind of give a little bit of a character to the drivers. Martin in the chat, I used to be on controller back in the day with Project Cars, and what a game that is. Bosch, meanwhile, again, I'm really gonna mess up these ways. Bosch in the server now. He's South African, and he was born back in 1995, so he's the same age as me. He is 30 years old in December. So he's 29 currently at the minute, and a close friend of his got into sim racing. He currently uses a Moser, and his favourite car is the car he's running at the minute, the McLaren GT3 as well. Now very happy with my Fanatec setup, says Martin. Same here, my friend, very much same here. He's just a part of the Pro-Am reserve group, and his favourite form of motorsport is either MotoGP, GT3s, and Touring Masters. Never heard of that one before. Brad Binder is his favourite driver. Valencia is his favourite track. And favourite race car of all time is the GT3 RS McLaren Evo. So yeah, 720 GT3. Other hobbies in farming, fishing and boating. His full-time job is a farmer. So he gets out of the slow tractor and jumps in a fast McLaren instead. So he's probably driving a Lamborghini, but as Clarkson tends to drive. And his favourite motto is always be the best version of yourself, which is another great... he's just made a slight mistake there where he crossed the white line in the pit entry. That's going to be very important for these drivers. It's down to the drivers to really spot this. I could flare it up, but... yeah, it's one of the things that we have to obviously clear up. Obviously, one of the things that Mike Matthews did in the Discord chat to make sure that it's very clear to all the drivers as they come into the final corner. There is the white line. They must not cross that white line. If they're choosing to come pit lane, they have to get to the right-hand side as much as they possibly can. Tips in the chat, 30 years old, still a pup. My youngest is older. And thanks, Tips. That makes me feel so much younger now as my back is starting to give way earlier today. So thank you for making me feel a bit younger again. Age is just a number. Exactly, Martin, exactly. If you're young at heart, you're young in mind and young in body as well. So another thing to look into as well, guys, if you've noticed, all the silver and the bronze drivers have been separated for this reverse grid. The way that works is we like to keep the reverse grid separate to, of course, to stop less chaos happening. So the bronze have been reversed towards the back of the pack, and so has the silvers to the front. So the way that all works out will then determine how this grid order is formed, which we will have in a moment as I know how to switch screens again. As Sam Williams pulls away, and this will be the grid order for tonight's sprint race as we get ready to go racing here at Paul Ricard. It is going to be Williams on pole position ahead of Nuke Waste in that P2 position. Then it's going to be Bolton in P3 with Johnson starting in P4. P5 is going to be Argent and then Craig in P6. Aberdeen will start P7 with Gabino starting in P8. Well, Old Sim Racer will start P9 and Unsworth, his teammate, starts in P10. We go to row 6 and that would be Wolfsky and Fandango. And row 7 is Flores and Greaves in P14. Vitas and your championship leader Langley, the two championship contenders, are P15 and 16. P17 and 18 will be the newcomers, Bosch and Fereth. Well, Alexa Marshall will start on pole position in 19th, ahead of Tucker in 20th for the start of the bronze. Then we see Atherton and Betterson starting on the 11th row. Into 12th row we have Bell and Archer side by side. In 25th and 26th will be Smith and Wheel. And then after that, the back will be Ian Best starting in that 27th position. And obviously Gary Leach just joining into the back of the grid as well. So while I got all this going on, I'm also going to try and get a sprint race prediction going as well. So much to do and not a lot of time. Gotta love it. So ignore my tapping, ignore my clicking. With Bolton having a very good session there and a very good looking start to the season he had. Obviously I think he's missed a couple of rounds. He's looking good to possibly take this first race win, I reckon. But like I said, I'm just popping in the last name. Now obviously you don't have to agree with one of the guys I said in the chat. You feel free to drop your prediction in the chat, but those are the 4 I've selected for this one. Point in the chat saying Fandango's birthday today, 56 young, apparently 56 years young, absolutely kicking it still in that Lexus. So Fandango, happy birthday, and hopefully you should have a good race tonight. Club was saying 8 drive-throughs this race. What, the sprint race? Okay, fair enough. But we are now going to get ready, and a reminder as well, please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel and hit the bell to be notified, and have a look at our fantastic sponsors, Design Manchester and Audio Sport. All their information is in the description below. Design Manchester produces of vinyl graphics, laser engraved gifts, mugs, printed clothing, much more, including SimPlay merchandise. And Audio Sport manufacturers of Volkswagen, Transporter, T4 audio solutions and styling products. Head over to www.audiosport.co.uk. Their Facebook links are all there as well. And if you do like what you see here at SimPlay Motorsport, then head over to our Discord and SimGrid. Get yourself signed up, get yourself involved, and then head over to the hot stint so we can know what category to put you in. But first things first, it's the reverse sprint race. It is Williams on pole, starting with Waste alongside. Who is going to take the first win tonight, as we now wait for starters orders here at Paul Ricard. And we are green and go here at Paul Ricard, and Williams gets a decent start there. Bolton looked like he had a good jump, but at this stage he's going to go wheel to wheel with Nuclear Waste down into turn number 1 as everyone else tries to work their way down into the chicane. And Gary Leach there goes completely wrong and makes multiple contact with multiple cars absolutely everywhere there. Unsworth and the Lamborghini of Vereth there in contact, and Bosch as well. I think that's is that Langley involved? Yes, it is, who we're actually on board with. So Langley's been caught up in that. Where was Vitas in all that? He managed to negotiate most of that as well. So Vitas having a great start there as we come to the end of the first lap here. More cars off there by the looks of things. But it is Sam Williams who's got the start that he needed, but he's got Bolton breathing down his neck already. Right underneath his rear wing, and the Ferrari already looking to go to the left-hand side. We go to the overboard. It is Ferrari versus Lamborghini, and the Ferrari of Bolton with much more straight line advantage there, pulling ahead of the Lamborghini driver of Williams, but unless he just tucks in behind and falls into place. Meanwhile, Unsworth up the inside of Argent and Nuke Waste there as they get quite close to one another to the fast-flowing turn 9. And Nuke Waste there dropping down another 2 places as Aberdeen has a good start as well. Fandango, birthday boy, moving up a couple of places. He's now onto the back of the Audi. We've got Wolski there in P8 and Vitas there in P9 with Greaves in P10, Craig in 11. But it is Bolton with the start and lean away from Williams, from Argent, from Unsworth, from Argent, from Waste, from Aberdeen, from Fandango, Wolski, Vitas, Greaves, Craig. Then it's going to be Leach, Bell, Tucker. Is it not Tucker? No, we're going to have to be another update in a minute, so I'm going to wait until they cross the line to do a full proper update. But it is Bolton who got the start, and he's now starting to bolt off as Williams tries to stick with him in the Lamborghini. We've got here Fandango looking to go up the inside of Aberdeen, looking to use the straight line speed of the Lexus and not able to. Now times are updated. Gary Leach starting in 12th, Bell in 13th, Vareth there sat in 14th, Flores now in 15th, Smith 16th, Old Sim Racer in 17th with Johnson, Gabino, Will, Tucker and Betterson all together. Archer in 23rd, and Langley decides to pit straight away with Atherton and Bosch. They all get their pit stops done and dusted. Now we're still on board with Archer, who's looking to make a move on Betterson. And Benny Archer, our main man, leading the World Rally Championship that we have now going in the foreground. We've got a bit of extra championship for those guys to stay competitive while we had no ACC. Meanwhile, Fandango using the straight line of the Lexus and out drags the Audi and moves up another position. Meanwhile, Vitas going wheel to wheel with Wolski, and look, another Lexus. It is Sam Greaves looking to hunt these two down, but can't find a way through at this stage. And swooping around the outside goes Wolski and holds on to the position. They want to be careful of those bollards. If they touch him, they will get a track limit warning. But Greaves now trying to find a way through on Vitas, but can't find it at this precise moment. Meanwhile, Bolton not really bolting away from Williams. Williams kind of keeping him honest at the minute, with Unsworth sat in P3, with Argent in a solid P4. Now Fandango has done waste as well, so Birthday Boy is on a rampage here, and he's now up into fifth place position, and Aberdeen looking to capitalise on that as well. He's got Vitas and Wolski going at it, and Vitas goes up the inside and gets the job done on Wolski, but he chooses to pit. And meanwhile, Wolski had a bad run and looked like he had Greaves momentarily looking to give him a run. So this is important for Vitas. He's come in as Langley has pitted early also. He's got a little bit of damage to the rear end of his car, but hopefully it's nothing too serious. And there we see Newt Waste and Aberdeen going off. Contact by the looks of these two. They're going to try and get themselves going once again. They spin themselves around. They managed to do so and get themselves back on circuit. Meanwhile, we've got Johnson here, who's got Gabino going at him with Aberdeen returning back to circuit. And Johnson turns in on Gabino. Contact is made, and they both slide to one side. And Gabino continues on. Old Sim Racer, meanwhile, looked up the inside momentarily at Waste, who's returning back to the circuit. Just behind them as well is Flores. So hard racing already, and contact being made. Meanwhile, Wolski still got Greaves breathing down his neck. Vitas, meanwhile, has done his stop. He's come out, but where has that put him compared to Langley? Langley is right behind him. Your two championship contenders close to one another on circuit. Oh, Greaves really pushing the limits there as he goes through the fast-flowing turn 8 and tries to bring that gap down to Wolski, find an opportunity. BMW relatively good in a straight line as well. Waste now losing out to Aberdeen, so Newt Waste really struggling in this first race, just dropping down the order as Flores is now under pressure from Aberdeen up the inside. A nice little move there from Aberdeen, beautifully done, and through into another position he goes. Much meanwhile keeping Unsworth in check. Bolton still trying to control that gap. He's got a 2-second gap at the minute over to Williams. Unsworth sat in that P3 with Argent in P4. Fandango now looking to try and chase the leaders down as Sam Greaves opts to pit this lap. And further back we've got the Lamborghini of Vareth, I think, coming into the pit lanes. Yes, we do. Old Sim Racer now pits as well. And it's very easy to get the pit lane wrong here. Speed in too quickly as we've got quite a few cars close together. As you see Johnson there coming onto the back of Flores, nearly hitting the back of Flores there, and he's going to be under pressure here from Tucker and Gabino. Gabino's had a great run there on Tucker, and he's looking to the left-hand side of him. He's going to be on the wrong side of the track. He's got quite a bit of a scuff mark to the front end of his car, but so far so good for no track limit warnings. Well, they probably have got track limit warnings, I just don't know how many people are on. Vitas, meanwhile, has come out of the pits ahead of Greaves, importantly, and Langley is just behind him as well. So all these guys close in the championship. Gary Leach losing out to Vareth there, and he's ended up behind the Lamborghini. And Unsworth now has brought the gap down to Williams. That's now less than a second, so this could be hotting up for the podium positions here, and I would start to think that the leaders might have to start reacting to the pit stops. But Bolton, meanwhile, quite comfortably out in front. We are at the halfway stage of this race. We'll end the poll there on the stream. And there we see Johnson and Gabino going wheel to wheel once again. Gabino trying to hold it on the outside but can't get the job done. I believe he's on the pan. You can see the car moving around like it's a controller. But great little wheel to wheel action there. What else we got on circuit? Gary Leach is hunting down Vareth as well. Can't seem to bring the gap down at the minute. Meanwhile, Argent has actually brought the gap down to Unsworth. Williams put a little bit of a gap on them. And your top five all kind of in stalemate, except for Fandango, who's really starting to catch these three up. Williams there looking like he had a little bit of a slide, but he manages to keep it controlled and facing the right way. Bolton, meanwhile, bolting out in front. Langley now catching onto the back of Sam Greaves. Vitas sets fastest lap of the race. So we'll see how all this pans out towards the end of the pit stops. Once all the pit stops are done, we will know exactly where people stand. And Sam Greaves must have had a bad run through the first sector, because once again, Langley's right on top of him. He's going to look to the outside, but that's not going to work. He's going to have to take an escape route and allow Sam Greaves the position, and he does. Better luck next time there for Greaves. And Argent with a big slide through turn 9 there. That's not going to light tyres, especially even on a sprint race like this. It's still going to affect him. And Williams now under pressure from Unsworth. He's doing a good job at the minute, just holding him off. It'll be his first podium of the season. If he can just hold off the Ferrari and the BMW. Bolton, though, still continues on and continues to lead this race. It's now come down the straight. Fandango now opts to pit, which could be a good decision here to try and jump these guys ahead of him. So a lot of pit stops still yet to come. Gary Leach now catching Vareth up pretty quickly. Langley is trying to get onto the back of Greaves again, but while this is all going on, Vitas is pulling away. Bolton now takes the fastest lap of the race back. I know we got a bit of a scrap here. Nuke Waste, Johnson, and oh, Tucker has been hit on the back by Nuke Waste. Big contact made. And what a shame there. As Nuke Waste is actually waiting for Tucker. Fair enough to him. There is Vitas, and Fandango will lose out to Vitas. So this should be very, very interesting. Now, Fandango was only a couple of seconds off the podium, and Vitas has now jumped Fandango. So this should play into Vitas's hands very nicely if he's able to use the pace now. Mac in the chat saying we have a controller driver here in our league. He is quick, clean, and always threatens the podium. Controller drivers are good. They're very, very good drivers at times. As we got Williams now, Argent and Unsworth all batting it out. And while this is all going to happen, Vitas will be gaining on them every time they squabble or fight. So this could be a very, very interesting end to this race, especially with Vitas hunting this pack down very, very quickly. Unless Fandango can do something about it. He's in the tow. Well, he's trying to catch the McLaren, and that Lexus is mighty in a straight line. Look at it catch the McLaren. So it could give him a bit of a headache as these guys now come through the final corner, and they've got to think about pit stops as Argent does opt to pit. Bolton now pits, so Williams will now lead this race. Gabino has got Flores behind him. Fandango right on the back bumper of Vitas, and that's what I mean. The Lexus allows him to get back into contention. Meanwhile, we got Vereth, Leach, and Bell. Leach hits the curb there. Sun settles the rear of the Porsche, but he manages to keep it together. The Lamborghini goes wide himself and loses the back end. Bolton has gone green, has come out of the pits. He should do momentarily as Vitas exits the final corner, and Wolfsky has gone green as well. Where is Bolton? There he is, and he's comfortably in front of Vitas and Fandango. So this should be interesting now with that gap. I think the two in front, Unsworth and I think Unsworth and Williams are in trouble. Argent, I think, has done his stop, but he's not done actually his stop properly, or he's had a moment. I don't think he's done his stop properly. I think he's come in, stopped, and not put fuel in. So that's Argent's race ruin. Meanwhile, fight for the lead. It's Unsworth versus Williams, and Williams holds the outside line as Unsworth goes up the inside, and job done for Unsworth. Both of these two will need to pit this lap, though. If they don't pit this lap, they are going to get a penalty, so it must be done here and now. Same with Aberdeen and Argent. So Argent's missed out quite badly there. Meanwhile, Sam Greaves still under pressure from Langley. Fandango's been trying to give Vitas a hard time, as Vitas is trying to hunt down Bolton, with Bolton way out in front at the minute. He's got about a 3.3 second gap, which is roughly what the gap was for Unsworth and Williams, as they're both into the pits now. So it'd be interesting to see where this all pans out. Bolton, I think, is secure and safe for the win. It's where Vitas, Fandango, and the rest of the pack will all feed into this. Fandango goes a little bit wide. Bolton, meanwhile, into the final few corners here. You should see Unsworth and Williams possibly go green any second. There's Unsworth. I think Williams will be not long after, and I think they're going to lose out to Vitas. I think they are, even though they're pretty much out of the pits. Unsworth comes out. He holds on to that second place, but Vitas will get ahead. He's into the podium positions, and Fandango will go through as well. So all those guys gaining opportunities there. And Williams, in the end, just drops out of the podium positions. He's got Langley and Greaves going at it, and Langley gets the job done on Greaves, and Greaves gets really close to the back of Langley, nearly making contact, but they're right onto the back of the Lamborghini driver. And Williams goes wide. Langley nearly makes contact with him, but he goes up the inside and gets through on Williams, and I'm pretty sure Greaves will go with him as well. Just lose sight of them, and yes, the Lexus driver does go through, and he is going to just destroy that Ferrari in a straight line. Look at it, pull and pull and pull, and that is the advantage of the Lexus. Meanwhile, Bolton out in front, 2.3 is the gap. He's kept it consistent to Unsworth, and Vitas been trying to hunt him down. Fandango, birthday boy, in P4, and now P5 is Sam Greaves right at the very end, just snatching that Ferrari position. As meanwhile, we got Old Sim Race and Aberdeen going at it wheel to wheel. Who else? We got Argent going against Gabino. But here's Old Sim Race up the inside of Aberdeen. Not quite, and Aberdeen will hold on to the position. But into the final few corners here. Final corner just to go. The 777. Bolton hasn't won for a while. He's come back to SimPlay Sprint Race, and he has taken the win here at Paul Ricard. He wins the first race and takes the fastest lap. Unsworth will take second. Third will be Vitas. Fourth is Fandango. And Sam Greaves and Langley, I think, possibly came together, as Williams now sneaks past for fifth place, with Sam Greaves in 6th, Langley 7th, Wolski in 8th, Craig in 9th. Vereth, first time out here, he ends up in 10th place position, just ahead, well, he is quite a bit ahead of Bell, in 11th, with Smith in 12th, Old Sim Racing in 13th, Aberdeen in 14th. Flores has gone round, so it's going to be Gabino in 15th, Johnson 16th, 17th is Argent, Leach in 18th, and 19th is Archer, 20th is Flores, Bosch in 21st. Atherton 22nd, Wheel will finish in 23rd, Waste in 24th, Tucker 25th, and Betterson rounds out the order. But it was Bolton with the win, and fastest lap to his name as well. We'll be back in a few moments' time as we will get things back underway, ready for the practice session and feature as well. So we'll be back in a few moments' time. welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, and we are underway for the qualifying session that is currently happening out on circuit right now, and it is Craig and Smith first ones out on circuit. Not many drivers actually coming out at the moment. I'm gonna have a quick look to see if there's any qualifying bans currently going at the minute. But anyways, that was your sprint race. We're now into the feature race. Qualifying bans should be going away on nuclear waste. Richie, who's not actually here, I don't think, and Bolton as well. Obviously got a qualifying ban also to his name. Goodwill as well. So a couple of guys with a couple of qualifying bans here this evening. And just before these guys get onto the qualifying lap, I will have a quick look at the championship standings. It's still Langley leading the way. The gap has come down ever so slightly. 55 points only now separating him and Vitus, with Greaves in P3, Fandango P4. P5 is Wolski, P6 is Unsworth, P7 is Flores, 8th is Varga, Old Sim Racer in 9th. 10th is Richie, Craig 11th, 12th Gabino, 13th Aberdeen, Argent 14th, Saunders 15th, Bolton 16th, Taylor 17th, Johnson 18th, 19th is Smith, Lee in 20th, Williams 21st, Nuke Waste in 22nd, The Block in 23rd, Archer 24th, Bell 25th, while 26th is KLF, Betterson 27th, Storick 28th, Williams 29th, with Wheel in 30th position. Atherton 31st, Tucker 32nd, Best 33rd, Marston is 34th, Goodwill is 35th, Marsden 36th, Andrews 37th, Vielith in 36th, Leach 39th, and Bosch finishing in 40th position. Regarding the teams, it is 4Q Motorsport, who's now got a 102-point gap over No Gas No Glory in P2, Cloud9 P3, with Team Audio Sport now in P4. P5 is Greasy Bandits Racing with SimPlay Racing in P6. P7 is Team Murloc, Soldor Racing in P8. P9 is NRL and Racing. P10 is the 2Cs Racing, OWR Racing in 11, Black and Blue Racing 12, Lexus Industries 13th, 14th is Quantum Motorsport, 15th is Rabbit Rapids GT, 16th is Team GBR, Team BSR in 17th, and OGR, and Wasaki Racing at the back. Perfect timing, as we will now go on board with Flores for a lap around the fantastic Paul Ricard circuit. Make sure you get a good exit out of the final corner as you then head down towards turn number 1. Make sure you brake at the 100-meter board, get the front end turned in, try not to touch the yellow sausage curves on the inside because that is track limits. The curve is raised, so be careful on curve 2 and then head down towards turn 3. Keeping the car as far to the left hand side as you possibly can and brake it just past the 100-meter board, and again, don't touch the yellow curbing. Track limits will be involved in 4, 5, in 6. Try not to take too much inside curve. Make sure you have a good exit. Then into 7, hugging it nice and tight. Then opening up the corner to come through the fast flowing turn 7, and then down the back straight. A long wait as they go down the straight. Picking up pace, and this is a great opportunity for a slipstream for something like the Lexus. This is ideal, this straight. It's a long haul straight as well, as we've got a couple of lap times on the board already, but we're going to stay on board with Flores as he comes to the fast right-hander, break down, turn 1 gear and get the front end turned in. Do not run out too wide onto those bollards. If you hit those bollards, that lap time's invalid. Into 9, kind of a very slow swooping right-hander. You want to tuck in tight to the apex of 9, heading now towards 10. Brake just at the curb, run it a little bit wide. You never want to stay too tight. Curb is raised once again. You get a good exit through there as he goes through 11. Not really a corner as such. And go into 12. Again, allow the car to just run a little bit wide, get the front end turned in, and into the final corner of 13. Don't touch that inside curb, it will unsettle the car just like that. And make sure you have a good exit out the final corner to then lead you onto a fast lap time. Flores with that one, puts him in 11th place, 2.9 off the pace. With Leach coming to the line, no lap time set for him. Right now we got that was old Sim Racer putting his car up into 7th place position. Unsworth just behind him by the looks of things there, and Unsworth I don't see on the board at the minute, so possibly no lap time for him. Currently no cars now coming into the final few corners, so we'll go back to Smith, who was one of the first ones to set a lap time. And as Smith comes round, we're going to find Fandango. There is your birthday boy, Steve Beck, is he known as. S2M Borough Becks is what he's also been known as. He's an English driver, and obviously today is his birthday, and he was born back in 1968. He always liked racing games, especially Ridge Racer and Sega Rally and the TOCA series, showing his prime there. He runs a Fanatec CSL DD McLaren wheel, as most people do, and he does have a WRC wheel as well. His favourite car on the game is the McLaren, but he's in the Lexus. He's a part of the FBR group, and he loves F1, BTCC, Rally, MotoGP and Superbikes. His favourite motorsport driver or vehicle runner is Rossi. His favourite circuit is Mount Panorama Bathurst, and his favourite racing vehicle is a wheelchair. Nice. Hobbies are, he's in the Volkswagen scene, currently restoring a 72 Beetle and mountain biking, and his job is actually in paint and body tech. So a little bit more information of your birthday boy there. Currently sat P2 at the minute, with Langley currently setting the fastest pace at the minute. A couple of cars coming into the final sector, and that is Leach, who's currently 10th at the minute. He's currently 2 seconds off the pace, comes to the line now and does not improve. Old Sim Racer now coming to the line. He's P9 at the minute. Can he find an improvement? No improvement gained there, as the rest of the cars come to the line. As we've got Unsworth now coming to the line, and still only 17th place for him on lap one, so no improvement for him. Gabino still not set a lap time, nor has Atherton or Vila Vareth. Keep getting these names wrong, and I will continue to get these names wrong. But Craig now into the final corner. And comes to the line. He goes 12th on that lap time, so good improvement for him. I see a couple of the cars coming to the line. Williams there, sat P7 at a minute. Good lap time from him. We've got another Lexus in the background. That is Fandango. Birthday boy does not improve on his lap time. Only half a second off the pace at the minute. Here comes Vitas, not Vitas, sorry. There was another red car. There's Betterson crosses the line in 12th place position, just ahead of Bosch, who goes 8th on that one. Aberdeen is in 9th after his lap time. And he came to a stop, so I wasn't able to see the car behind him. Oh. And a few other cars still yet to set a lap time here, as Vareth here coming into the final corner. Nice to see another Lamborghini on the grid once again. And he comes to the line, 25th at the minute. No lap time still, or was that? No, still no lap time. As I saw a car come across the line, that was Tucker. He goes P15 on his most recent lap time. Wolski at the far end of the circuit. Again, just trying to find drivers coming to the end, as Unsworth's gone very, very wide, and that lap time's not going to count for him. We've got the 22 now coming to the line. That is Arjun in the SimPlay Racing group in the BMW. What can he produce here? No teammate for him tonight. No Andrews this evening. And Arjun staying P5 by the looks of things, or I'm either half asleep and didn't see him go quicker. Craig now in 13th place position. What's this going to be? He improves to go to 11th, so a lap time found there for him. A couple of cars back to pit lane. Here comes the two Lexuses. And Greaves across the line does not improve, neither does Fandango, but they are on another lap. It is Betterson to finish his run. He comes to the line, and it's only 8th place for Betterson. Good for a bronze driver. He's up there with the pack. As Bosch now comes to the line. Sorry, Vitas, came to the line. And he only goes P4 on that one. He's been out-qualified by the Lexuses. Wolfsky there, P6 in the end for him. Sam back in the pits in P7 at the minute. A few cars in the final sector. We'll try and find them. That is Tucker, the 23. I know there's a car just ahead of him. Possibly the 888. That is Vereth there, and he goes into P15. Tucker only goes 19th on that one. The 53 of Atherton still to put a lap time on the board. And this is where the drive-throughs now are going to get interesting, guys, with a 70-minute race around this terrible circuit. As Atherton, aka DJ Phil, crosses the line, gets a lap time on the board and puts him in 22nd. At least it's a lap time on the board. Argent comes to the line now. He's currently 5th. Has he found an improvement? That is the question. Another question I have for you guys in the chat. Do we like Paul Ricard? That's a question I want to know. Me and Lexi briefly brought it up as Argent doesn't improve. Fandango's back in the pits, as is Sam Greaves. No real threat for pole position, I think. It's Gabino coming to the final corner, and Smith. And here comes Smith to the line. He improves to go to 16th. Gabino now to the line. He goes to 9th. And that is all she wrote. So it's Langley, your championship leader, taking pole position on that one. So that said, guys in the chat, do we actually like Paul Ricard? That is the question. Obviously, another question I'm going to be putting in the chat is the feature race winner. And I nearly spelled wiener instead of wiener. So we're getting into the back end of the championship. Langley has been looking dominant all season. Starting to become under some pressure from the Lexuses and also from Vitas as well. Fandango, birthday boy, looking good tonight. What can he do here this evening? The Lexuses are going to struggle in the first and final sector, but once they get down that back straight, they are going to be absolutely rapid. Martin in the chat, haven't raced that much in Paul Ricard, not in my favourite track list. It's definitely not in mine either. I definitely not the biggest fan of this circuit. It just one of those circuits just never seems to. People say it flows, but I don't see it. I don't get it. I don't see how it flows personally. Somehow Gary's ended up at the back of the pack. Not sure how.
20 seconds. 10 seconds.
Excuse me, just getting a quick swig of a drink. Might not be a bad thing being at the back. Stay out of trouble. As we now pull away from the grid, as we'll do a run through of the grid order. It is your championship leader on pole position once again, Langley from the USFA on pole. Fandango in P2 with Greaves starting in P3. Vitas will be in P4. Argent P5. Wolski in P6. Williams in P7. Or P8 is Betterson, best of the bronze drivers. Gabino starts P9 with Bosch in P10. Old Sim Racer in 11th with Aberdeen in 12th. And Craig in 13th with Vereth sat in 14th. Smith then in the second place position for the bronze, but 15th overall. Third in the bronze and 16th overall is Bell with Flores in 17th. Tucker sat in 18th place position with Unsworth in 19th. Archer 20th. Atherton 21st. Bolton 22nd. Johnson 23rd. Wheel 24th. Waste 25th. And Leach at the back of the pack. Even though he did put a qualifying lap on the board, somehow it has ended up at the back of the pack. Reminder, guys, on a Tuesday night we have the Who Darren Cup, the Ginetta Cup series that we have in memory of our good friend Who Darren, who we lost last year, last season to the sadness of our league. So that's now named after him, and it's great to see the support that we have for the GT for Ginetta Championship. Obviously, on a Wednesday night, I bring you all the action for the Pro-Am drivers, and tomorrow night will be Sweet and Sticky in your box. That is Matthew Duffin and Kelly Davis bringing you all the action for the Pro drivers and see how they take on the circuit. Currently, at the minute, I think the number of drivers we have at the minute, I think, is 21. If I have a quick look at the minute. Yeah, we currently have confirmed 21 drivers for the Pro. A reminder as well, have a look at our fantastic sponsors, Design Manchester and Audio Sport, both in the description below. Design Manchester, producers of vinyl graphics, laser engraved gifts, printed clothing and much more, including SimPlay merchandise. Audio Sport, manufacturers of VW Transporter, T4 audio solution style products, and head over to their website www.audiosport.co.uk. Right, we're getting into it now. We're getting into the final race of the Pro-Am night. It's Langley on pole position in the Ferrari. He's got a Lexus to give him a bit of a headache at the start of this race as well, as we are about to go racing once again. 3 more races to come this week. Feature race of the Pro-Ams, and then the Pro Sprint and feature to come as well. As they now line up, getting themselves ready, they make sure all their cars are prepped and ready to go. Different setups, different strategies. Who will come out on top of that one? That is the question. As we now get ready to go racing here in the final corner, we now wait for starters orders here at Paul Ricard for the feature race.
Green light. Go, go, go.
And we are green and go, racing around this fantastic circuit here at Paul Ricard. Heading down towards turn number 1, and you can see Vitas already clearing one of the Lexuses of Greaves as they come together. Greaves gets tapped and around he goes, and he will lose out there, dropping down the order, and he now tries to follow his way back in, nearly making contact there with Aberdeen as they head down towards turn number 3. Oh, and contact there, Aberdeen, and Greaves once again more contact from him, ends up dropping down into the pack. The rest of them all now funneling their way through the first sector. Meanwhile, Langley, has he got enough of a jump on that Lexus? Is Fandango going to catch him? That is the question. You can see there, I think Fandango is not quite going to get onto the back of him. There, he's just trying to holler him in, bring that Lexus power up, and you can see Langley trying to break the toe. But even Fandango knows, I don't even need the toe in the Lexus. It's not needed. The pace of that thing in a straight line is crazy as they head to the fast flow in turn 8. Meanwhile, Argent and Wolfsky going wheel to wheel, and contact made there. Wolfsky pretty much just turns in on Argent. Argent goes off. Wolfsky's carried his foot round and kept it pinned as the rest of the pack come funneling through. Bolton pretty much making a couple of places. A new waste. Oh, he manages just to avoid Argent, but I think he's hit the wall very, very hard. Major damage possibly to his car, and he's probably down and out for this one. But meanwhile, Langley leading the way ahead of Fandango, ahead of Vitas. Argent sideways as he's got himself back going again. He's overheated those tyres, and in this heat on this circuit, it's very hard to bring him back down. Wolfsky now is still in P5. He's got Gabino and Williams breathing down his neck. It's Bettersid in the bronze class looking to have a move on Williams himself, but he's got old Sim Racer and Aberdeen breathing down his neck. But here comes old Sim Racer now up the inside. Barrett there, and Bosch and Leach going at it further back. I think the Lamborghini driver is going to come out triumphant on that one. Yes, he does. And through he goes. Meanwhile, Gabino and Wolfsky now going wheel to wheel. Wolfsky up the inside. Gabino trying to make the move, and more contact there. Wolfsky coming door to door with the Lamborghini driver. And just losing out there. Meanwhile, Vitus has set fastest lap of the race on the first lap, so he's the only one who's set really a decent valid lap time. And Fandango has now lost out to Langley. Langley disappearing up into the distance. Here we have 4 of the top 8 close together. Gabino, Wolfsky, Williams and old Sim Racer. Horrible, tricky right-hander of turn 8. He'll flick it in, try and get the car settled, and try not to get it slide around too much and keep it within track limits. Betterson really pushing the limits further back. And Leach there looking up the inside of Barrett there. He's going to find that horrible bump. Yes, he does, but the Porsche absorbs it quite well. Meanwhile, Bell has got extremely wide. That's going to allow Bolton up the inside, and he's on a recovery drive. We've got Craig now up the inside of Unsworth. Tucker now passing Smith as well. Waste is back in the pits. Argent on a recovery drive himself. But this gaggle of cars at the minute is where the main interest is. Wolfsky defending heavily from Gabino, Williams, and old Sim Racer has got Betterson. Now Aberdeen looks to try and get onto the back of him as well. Leach is just on the back of him also. As Williams there on the back of his fellow Lamborghini driver of Gabino. A lot of aggression, elbowing on track. Yes, there is, Martin. At the minute, though, Langley in control. Meanwhile, Vitus is giving Fandango something to think about. He's right on the back bumper of him. Goes a little bit deep through that left-hander, which compromises his run through here. And Vitus is going to have a great exit, but the problem is that Lexus is so good in a straight line. He's just going to pull away. We've got a nice little train going on here. Bolton slowly trying to work his way onto the back of that train also. As we go down towards the back straight. If anything, Williams now under pressure from old Sim Racer. As there we see the Ferrari making the move on the Lamborghini. Old Sim Racer should be able to get that done. Williams probably not going to fight him through the fast right-hander of 8, but that's going to be quite a bit of track limits there for old Sim Racer on the inside. So Williams one moment looking like he was attacking. Meanwhile, Leach is looking to go up the inside of the other Lamborghini. He stays nice and tucked into the inside. And Barrett there keeping the space for Leach to try and go up the inside, but can't find a way through. Meanwhile, Vitus has got past Fandango. So, can Vitus now hunt down Langley? That is the question, as Wolfsky's now starting to get into a little bit of a flow and pulling away from Gabino. It's old Sim Racer already looking to try and make a move on Gabino, which has turned from an attack to a defense, because Williams is now on the attack. Williams now trying to chase the leaders down. And Leach, meanwhile, further back, has got past Barrett there, and is now into P9. Bolton has now joined the club for those guys and has brought Aberdeen with him as well. So Aberdeen's just going with him at this stage of the race already. Bosch into the pits. Bosch caught up with a little bit of damage, thinking let's get the pit stop done and dusted, clean air, and work our way back up the order. But 3.2 is the gap from Langley and Vitus, who's up down the road. Fandango sat at P3 at the minute. Betterson looking for another strong position here in that leading bronze class. We see there Bell and Unsworth going wheel to wheel. Unsworth looking to the outside of the left-hander, but he's not going to get the run there. He's going to end up in the slipstream of Bell. Here we go again. Unsworth looking to the outside of the McLaren driver. You can see there the lag just fading in and out. He moves forward, he moves back, he moves forward, but he's going to get side by side with him. And they make contact before they even get near to the right-hander. Bell squeezing him to the outside, and Unsworth thinking, nope, I'm not having any of that, and backs out of that one. Cabino still giving Wolski a bit of a hard time in the Lamborghini. Taking a bit of curb down, settling the car a little bit, but it seemed to have worked for him. Leach already dropping Vereth there. He's actually dropped behind Aberdeen, so he's made either a mistake or he's had contact with someone. The car's looking a little bit loose, but Betterson now has got Gary Leach to worry about, as Langley and Vitus have both set the fastest lap of the race. That's very interesting, that is, as Leach now going down the inside of Betterson. Oh, he makes contact with him, and Leach will get the job done. Very leery moment though, but Betterson losing now a place to Bolton as well. Bolton's going to get the run. He's going to look to the inside now of turn 3, and he'll get the job done. Betterson thinking, nope, I'm not wanting to fight with that. And Gabino's gone off. So Gabino's made a mistake. He's dropped down the order, and now Old Sim Racer has caught up to the back of Wolski. So Wolski now got the Ferrari of Old Sim Racer to contend with. Some real hard door banging action here. He, Vereth here, and Aberdeen going at it wheel to wheel. Lamborghini versus Audi. Pretty much the same engine, the same chassis, pretty much identical cars, but different aero and looks. Oh, and Aberdeen gives him a little tap, and Vereth there taps him back, and they both run wide. They want to try and get back onto limits as quickly as they can, and Unsworth giving him a flash of light saying, whoa, hang on, give up that pace, boys. And Bolton's been around. He's dropped back into this pack. So Bolton now made a mistake somewhere. He's ended up in this gaggle of cars. He's nearly hit the back of Unsworth there. And there is Bell, Smith, Craig. All these guys close to one another. It's close racing here between this mid-pack. Old Sim Racer, meanwhile, not quite close onto the back of Wolski. Williams just dropping back to Leach, who's starting to hunt them down a little bit. So it's Langley still leading the way with Vitus ahead of Fandango. That is your top three. And then there's quite a big gap between Wolski, Old Sim Racer, Williams, Leach. And then you've got Gabino on the back of Betterson. And here is Aberdeen and Vereth here. Bolton there just being sent by Smith there. Smith sending up the inside. Bolton's going to go around the outside of turn 2 and gets that job done. It's a great racing between those two. Craig just sitting back and enjoying it all. Johnson thinking momentarily to have a look up the inside of Tucker. Now Aberdeen trying to pull away. Meanwhile, Wolski has had a moment. He's dropped down to P9. So Old Sim Racer has now moved up, and here comes Gary Leach attacking Williams now to the inside. The Porsche looking faster than the Lamborghini. Williams just backing off and giving him that position. So Leach goes on through now up into P5. So Gary Leach, are we going to speak to Gary Leach on the podium? Possibly. The way he's going at the minute, he started last on the grid. He's now up into P5. Of course, I accidentally had a nap, says Alexa Marshall. So she's missed out on the race due to having a nap. Meanwhile, Langley extends his gap 4.4 to Vitus. Meanwhile, Fandango sat at that 3.6 gap at the minute. And Old Sim Racer is going to have something to think about, because here comes Gary Leach, who's on a bit of a rampage at the minute. Oh, and there you can see Old Sim Racer had a bit of a moment, and Leach now goes up into P4. So Gary Leach up into P4. So good drive. Oh, look at further back. There's Vereth off, Bolton, And I think there was another driver, I think possibly Craig? No, as Ref now comes into the pits. But multiple cars off in the background there, and Bolton once again getting caught up in the middle of all that. The ref meanwhile comes in and does his stop. Now on board with Bell, Archer, Johnson and Tucker. All these guys relatively close. We've got Flores attacking Atherton. Archer's now joined the back of him as well. I blame you, Dan, calling out on my yawn yesterday. Defo made it happen. Don't blame me. You were the one who was struggling with sleep yesterday, so you had plenty of time to get some sleep. Wolfsky with a bit of front end damage there, so possibly hurting him a little bit as Aberdeen's now starting to bring that gap down. A few guys into the pits after a little bit of chaos there. Fandango's actually made a little bit of a gap down to Vitus there. Bolton can't catch a break. No, he can't at this stage. As Old Sim Racer still got Gary Leach in sight. Keeping him honest, keeping him in range, which is nice to see. And also Betson meanwhile has got Gabino hunting him down. Lamborghini versus Ferrari, best of the Italian. And Smith there defending heavily from Craig and Bell there, but I don't think Smith under some immense pressure. He's lost the back end. He keeps it together, but the rest of them had to check up. Craig swoops on by, and Bell now behind him. Can Bell sneak his way through? That is the question. He's not quite close enough. Doubt he's going to do it in the hairpin. It's not really an overtaking opportunity unless you're significantly ahead. At the minute, Smith though losing out to Craig. No other changes at the moment as Gary Leach now tries to think about trying to bring the gap down to Fandango. The gap was 8.6. What is it now as they come through the split? 7.6. So Gary is catching Fandango in the first sector. It's this long straight that hurts him. And Williams, meanwhile, is under pressure from the bronze driver of Betson, who's having a fabulous night's worth of racing. Looks very good in that Ferrari. Down the back straight we go again. And Betson not quite close enough to the back of Williams. Heading up to the fast right-hander of turn 8. Again, the Lamborghini just pulls away a little bit. Meanwhile, Aberdeen's brought the gap down to the BMW of Wolfsky. And then we've got Bell, Johnson, Archer, Tucker, and Bolton, all part of this group. As actually Tucker's dropped back. And once again, Argent just picking up places where people have dropped off. As he there, Betterson defending from Gabino. Gabino looking to go around the outside of the Ferrari. Somehow he's managed to make that work. Not sure how he's managed to do that, but Gabino has got ahead of Betterson, and job done there for him, as Williams now has possibly something to think about with a fast Lamborghini coming up behind him. Fandango's gap 5.1, and Gary Leach is bringing the gap down slowly to Fandango. So he's bringing Old Sim Racer with him as well. We've got a yellow flag, possibly because there's a car back in pit lane. That is Varef back in the pits. Nuke Waste has come back out. And Sam Greaves obviously getting his pit stop done. He's gone very, very wide through there. He's got a lot of damage to his car, so something's happened to Greaves earlier on. Flores has a moment by the looks of things, and Argent now looking to make an attack on Bolton. I'm pretty sure Bolton's probably got a lot of damage possibly to his car with a couple of contacts here and there. It looks pretty clean, to be fair. Smith and Craig. Betterson now losing out to Gabino. Can Gabino do anything about Williams? And again, Gary Leach brings the gap down. Another 3/10 to Fandango. It's going to go up again because of this back straight, due to the fact that the Lexus is quicker, but only by a bit. So Leach is bringing the gap down. And here is Aberdeen looking to try and make a move on Wolfsky once again. the Audi low drag due to not a lot of wing to the back of that car makes it very, very good around this circuit as well. So we had actually an Audi event not long ago where we had the GT2s, the GT3s and GT4 Audis all on circuit, and the GT3 was looking very, very good around here. Williams now is being hunted down by Gabino. Smith has been passed by Craig. Bolton has got Archer, but Archer trying to come back at him but can't get the job done, and Bolton now pulls away with Argent just behind him. At the final corner, Archer just trying to hold off the attack from Argent. Craig moves up ahead of Smith. Aberdeen's just dropped off the back of Wolski there. Betterson's dropping off the back of Gabino. Gabino's not quite gone with Williams, but Williams can still see Old Sim Racer just ahead, and Gary Leach still trying to bring the gap down to Fandango. Langley though out in front, comfortably in the lead, with a quite healthy gap at the minute of 6.9. Have you tried the Audi, Dan? I have tried the Audi. When we did the Audi event, I was actually in the GT2. A couple of seasons back, I did run the Audi Evo. Oh, and Gary Leach having a big slide through that fast right-hander of 8. Too many of those, and he will end up getting a penalty. Here comes Smith and Craig once again. Smith looking like he's getting the job done on Craig. But I have driven the Audi, and I think it's an absolute handful of a car. You have to run full wing pretty much everywhere just to make it work. As we see there, Bell now going up the inside of Craig. Job done there for him. Craig losing not just 1 but 2 places now, possibly 3 here, because here comes Johnson looking to go around the outside. And Argent now passing Bolton as well, so Argent making another position himself, both of them clearing Benny, and they're going to be catching the back of this group as well, as we still on board with Johnson looking to the inside momentarily but can't quite get the job done there, as Leach opts to pit. So Gary Leach pitting now. So obviously he was running a bit light to the start of this race possibly, or he's already cooked the tyres, who knows, but Gary Leach opted to pit. You don't see much Audis, not my cup of tea also. I like the Audi. I mean, I'm a Volkswagen man myself, so anything that's owned by Volkswagen I'm a fan of. As Johnson there just misses his brakes and goes a bit deep, has to lose a little bit of time. Wolski now onto the back of Betterson. So Wolski's slowly been working his way back up. So yeah, I'm a Volkswagen man myself, so obviously on the grid for me, the top car for me is the Porsche 992. Can't drive it for the life of me, as last season proved. But I obviously drive the Lamborghini Huracan Evo 2 currently in the Pro category, and it's my preferred car at the minute on ACC. I have a VW as well. I actually own a Polo myself in the real world, so very nice man, very nice. As we're on board with Wolski, goes trying to get better as they go a little bit wide through the fast right-hander. And we've got Bell and Craig, Johnson, and now Argent's joined the party as well. Bolton has decided to pit. And Argent just a little bit slidey through there. And that BMW goes through a weird phase. Really good on its tyres and takes the curves well, but it takes a very strange phase. It goes a little bit weird at one point in the session, so possibly a little bit of a moment there for him, as Sam Greaves has done his stop, but he's ended up ahead of Leach. So I'm not sure what happened to Leach there, possibly taking tyres or maybe damage, I'm not sure, but he's ended up ahead of Atherton. And to be fair, Langley is only now coming down the back straight, so possible getting lapped here at the minute, but he's got a comfortable gap over Vitis in P2, Fandango P3, Old Sim Racer P4 with Williams in P5, Gabino P6, Wolfski P7, now getting ahead of Bedison in 8, who's your lead in bronze. The 9th is Aberdeen, 10th is Unsworth. Then Smith sat there in P2 in the bronze class, but 11th overall, and Bell goes in 12th. And there, our first drive-through from Johnson. And he makes that mistake. Argent going very, very wide through there. So Argent just making a few mistakes there as he gets onto the back of the Aston Martin. Once again, we're on board with the two Lamborghinis. Gabino's had a much better run through turn 8 there, and Williams there having to be a little bit cautious. Gabino looking up the inside. Rear end is going to go light, but Williams gives him a room, and Williams has his own little slide and makes that mistake, and Gabino goes on through, and job done for him. Through the final few corners we go. He's losing out. There is Williams. He's now got Wolfski starting to hunt him down. Argent on the back of Johnson. When does Johnson opt to take his drive-through? That is the question. Once he's taking his drive-through, he'll then be able to take his mandatory stop. Johnson comes in now, so Argent now goes on through, makes a position without needing to try too hard. He now chases down Craig and Bell. This will get him back up into the top 12. There, Aberdeen still on the back of Betterson, and as I thought with Paul Ricard, the gaps are close, but they're not really threatening, as we've got Wolfski now on the back of Williams. Williams just seems to be struggling at this stage of the race. Maybe just overheating the rear tyres, possibly. Not only does it get bad, it gets worse for Johnson. Stop and go, 30-second time penalty for speeding in the pit lane. So when it rains, it pours sometimes, and it's pouring down on Johnson here. So now heading into the long right-hander of turn 9, and Wolfski up the inside. Job done. A position gained as Williams here just struggling now in the Lamborghini. As Betterson now looking to get back onto terms with Williams, but he's got Aberdeen for company as well. Unsworth hunting him down. Your leader, meanwhile, way out in front. Langley, fastest lap of the race so far. And he's got a healthy lead over Vitis at the minute in P2. Fandango currently P3. Old Sim Racer in P4, Gabino P5, Wolfski P6, Williams P7, Betterson, Aberdeen, and Unsworth rounds out your top 10. As Argent now opts to pit. So he's thinking right now is the time to get in pit lane. Stay on board with Betterson. He's in an interesting fight between Williams and Aberdeen. 3 completely different manufacturers here. Lamborghini, Audi and Ferrari going battle. Too far behind them is the other Ferrari of Unsworth. Down the back straight they go. Williams now once again under pressure from a Ferrari, with Betterson not quite as confident as the others to attack in the fast flowing right-hander of turn 8. He has a better run through there than Williams. You can see Unsworth goes incredibly wide further back. keeps together. Williams still just seems to be struggling at this stage, trying to keep the car facing the right way, keeping it in control. Stop and go cleared for Johnson there. So a little bit of a roadblock being formed up here by Williams. He's got Betterson, Aberdeen and then Unsworth all close to one another. So let's go on board with Unsworth just to see his view of the situation. You can see 3 in front as Betterson goes a little bit deep into turn 1. Going to compromise his run through 2. And that's going to allow the Audi and the fellow Ferrari driver to get a little bit closer. Once again, Williams gets a little bit of a break. Wolski's not disappeared up the road, so it's all still up for games later on for that P6 possibly. As Williams goes a little bit wide though, but he keeps it within track limits. He gets a good exit. Oh, he has a big snap there, a very big snap, and that is going to allow Betterson a possible attack. And here we go, Williams once again under pressure from a Ferrari. Betterson's going to go wheel to wheel with the Lamborghini. We go on the overhead as Aberdeen's also under pressure from Unsworth, and Betterson will get the job done on the Lamborghini driver, and Williams losing out another place there, but Betterson runs a little bit wide, possible limits there, but Williams though keeps it together, and now Aberdeen's looking to make a move possibly on the Lamborghini driver. Bit of a poor run there for Aberdeen. And now Unsworth looking to make a move on the Audi as he goes up the inside of this corner, but that's going to compromise him, but he tries to be later on the brakes, goes around the outside, and that's a well thought out move there from Unsworth, but Aberdeen tries to fight back, but Unsworth gets the job done. Betterson, a big moment out of the final corner there, and a big slide from him. But Unsworth, very clever move there. He's managed to outfox his fellow driver there, and a job done for him. While this is all going on, Wolski has pulled away. Well, Gary Leach is now onto the back of Greaves. Everyone doing splash or dash, or will someone change tyres as well? Although you lose quite some time in the pits. You do lose quite a lot of time, and obviously with the the track temperature currently at 30 degrees, the rear left for most of the rear engine cars are really going to be suffering. For the front engine cars, for the likes of the Lexuses, the BMWs and the Aston Martins, the front left will be the ones struggling due to the engine being at the front. But normally what we've learned through the season, and thanks to the help of MSA doing all the hard work for us, is you could pretty much do the whole race on a full tank of fuel and not worry about stopping if you keep it clean. But it's all about setting the car up for a full tank of fuel and the way it lightens up later on. As they head down towards now 1, and Leach still looking for an opportunity to get past Alexis, and there's his opportunity. Sam makes a mistake and through goes Leach, job done. The worry though for Leach is the fact that he might be under pressure. Meanwhile, Williams has lost out to Unsworth and Aberdeen, so once again the Lamborghini driver struggling here as Vitas is now into the pits as he's coming up to the halfway stage. Meanwhile, I want to go on board with Leach because we could see this Lexus hunt him down. Probably the Porsche probably one of the slowest in a straight line against one of the fastest in a straight line. That's the gap. We'll see how much Sam gains on him. And not a lot at the minute, so possibly significant damage from Sam has affected his car. And yeah, Leach keeping the gap. He's nowhere near him. That's why, because Leach is getting a tow from the car in front, which is waste. So Gary Leach gets a tow, gets through, and Sam can't attack the Porsche because he's got his own little slipstream. Vitas now the leading pitter. He now gets the job done. Where is Bolton in consideration to him, as Vitus is probably down into turn 1 now. Yes, he is. And Betterson has got himself a drive-through penalty, number 2 in. So far, 2 penalties for drive-throughs at the minute. Sam will be happy to see that one. That means he will gain a couple of positions. Unsworth has gone through as well. Aberdeen currently in pits at the minute. So Bolton ahead of Leach, ahead of Greaves, ahead of Atherton, Argent and Bell are your only pitters at the minute, with Vitus with that as well. Now Vitus has put himself in a little bit of traffic. He's got Archer just ahead of him. Now for him, it's not as simple as it is just coming up to the back of him and overtaking. Obviously Archer is in a racing position, so he is entitled to fight for that position. He's not entitled to just jump out the way. He can race him, so possibly going to catch him out a little bit is Vitus. But Leach now trying to bring the gap down to Bolton if he possibly can. He's halfway down the straight, and then you can see Leach further back, 12 seconds behind. Looks nothing compared to on the straight, but it's quite a bit. Gabino now from P4 pits, as does Betterson to do his drive-through. So Williams now gains a position, and here is Vitus now onto the back of Archer, and Benny Archer. How long can he defend from the McLaren? Through the final corner, there you go. Defending the inside of turn number 1. Vitus is not wanting to play games, and Archer pretty much compromises his own run through there, and that's going to allow Vitus to get a better exit through turn 2, and that's all because Archer defended too heavily on the inside of 1, compromised his run through 1 and then through 2, and then in the end Vitus gets the job done through there. So Vitus back up another position. May have lost him a little bit of time, but in the end, he gains on that one. As we're coming up to the halfway stage of this race, I will end the poll there. Majority reckon that Vitus is going to win this one. But at this stage of the race, it is your championship leader leading the way. It is Langley with the fastest lap of the race, not responding to Vitus' stop at the minute, so he's quite comfortably out in front. We've got Fandango sat in that P2 position. Birthday Boy looking to possibly get a birthday podium for himself. Old Sim Racer currently in P3. Wolski P4. Unsworth P5. P6 is then Williams. P7 is Smith. P8 is Craig. And Vitus is your first stopper in P9. Archer is in P10. Tucker in P11. Betterson in P12. With Flores in 13th. Bolton then next of the stoppers in 14th position, with Leach in 15th, Greaves 16th, Gabino in 17th, 18th is Aberdeen, 19th is Atherton, Wheel 20th, Argent 21st, Johnson 22nd, Nukeways 23rd, and Bell in 24th position. We've lost a driver, as now Smith comes into the pits. It's like Betterson and Tucker going at it. Betterson still not done his stop, obviously due to the drive-through he had to do. Smith now decides to make his stop. Betterson trying to give Tucker a bit of a hard time as they go through the first sector, now heading towards the back straight, but Tucker looks like he's pulled away ever so slightly. Bolton now getting past Flores, and Flores just seems to be struggling here at Paul Ricard, not his circuit, and just dropping down the order, losing out to Bolton. Now Langley has now pitted, and Vitus is only now going down the back straight, so This could be very, very interesting indeed. I've also noticed we've lost Bosch and Barrett as well. So both of them have left the server. Both of them will get a qualifying ban going into the next race of the season, which I got wrong yesterday, so I'm going to correct myself today. It's not Laguna Seca that's next on the calendar. It's Suzuka that's next on the calendar. So I may have got that a little bit wrong. So Suzuka night race coming up after Paul Ricard, and then it is then to the States for another night race at Laguna Seca. Langley, meanwhile, exits the pits, heads into turn number 1, well ahead of Vitas. So while there's no action out on track at the minute, guys, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit that bell to be notified so you don't miss anything here at SimPlay Motorsport, as Betterson now decides he's going to pit. And once you've done that as well, have a look at our fantastic sponsors, Design Manchester and Audio Sport as well. They produce some brilliant products, and give them a follow on Instagram and head over to their Facebook page, websites, all their lovely stuff as well, and give them a bit of a support. Also, if you do like what you see here at SimPlay Motorsport and you think that you want to be a part of the action on the grid, then head over to our sim grid. Once you're there on the sim grid, it will then bring you into the Discord. Once you're then into Discord, you then need to just verify yourself. Basically just press a button and it just tells you that you're verified. Once you're verified, then please follow the steps that are done in the welcome chat, and then once you've done that as well, you'll then be asked to do a hot stint. Once you've done the hot stint, then make sure you get that done, and the admins then can see your track stats. Once you've done the track stats then for Barcelona, so we can do a comparison to your fastest to what you've done in the server, in the hot stint server as well, and then we are able to put you in the right category. A couple of pitters happening now. We've got Fandango and Old Sim Racer coming into the pits. And with all the stops happening, it's just really showing where everyone is falling into place, as Langley, Unsworth's now opted to pit. Williams has gone long as well, so he's chosen to go a little bit further on. But Bolter, so Leach has now passed Greaves, but is that a tyre change? Because the tyres are going to burn up. I don't know who's gone for tyres. I don't know who's on what fuel. But it will be interesting to see come to the end of the session. Langley already going through Sector 1. Vitas also going through Sector 1. As Old Sim Racer has jumped Fandango. So Birthday Boy's made a mistake somewhere. He's dropped behind Old Sim Racer. Bolton, meanwhile, is not too far behind them. He jumps a few cars there as well. He jumps Unsworth as well, but he's onto the back of Fandango, so his stop has not worked out for him. Possibly had a bit more fuel. Maybe it was a bit lighter for the start of this race. As I just hit my PS4 controller for the PC. So Fandango losing out a couple of places. And now going down the back straight, the Lexus opens its legs. Tries to pull away from the cars behind Old Sim Racer, gaining on Fandango massively there. So Old Sim Racer looking happy about that one. Bolton now, see if he can chase down the Lexus, as the gaps are now starting to come together. So you're starting to see where people were a bit higher on fuel. You can see where people were struggling just with tyres. But also going into turn 1, Williams is 12 seconds behind. So Williams, I think, was full right up and is going to go to the very, very end and just put 1 litre of fuel, which is about 3.2 seconds is the stop. Langley, fastest lap and absolutely flying. Once again, Craig is just ahead of Vitas, and Vitas again has another car to clear. I really don't think he's going to have a scrap with Langley tonight. Langley just looks very, very good out in front. is trying to pull away as best he can. Like I said, been a pretty dull race here at Paul Ricard. The last time we were, well, the last memory I have of racing at Paul Ricard, we did have it in very wet conditions. I think the track was flooded at one point, but for this one, it's not really been a good night of action. It's all been spread out quite a lot. It's very difficult to commentate on that when you've got not a lot going on out on the circuit at the minute. Langley hunting down Williams. That's pretty much the closest fight at the minute. Or possibly Old Sim Racer catching Tucker, but Tucker's yet to stop. But yeah, all spread out quite evenly at the minute. 1 minute we were talking about Leach going for a podium. He's now struggling to catch onto the back of Unsworth, Bolton and Fandango. So it's ebbed and flowed quite a bit, and some strategies I don't think have worked out. Wolfsky now into pit lane. And Langley continues on leading this race as, well, he's not leading now as Williams now leads, but Langley is your net leader as such. Still all the pit stops to complete, and this is your closest fight. As you can see here, Williams has been hunted down by Langley, and I don't really think Langley is going to be held up for very long. Williams goes a little bit deep, goes wide, and I think Williams pretty much like, you go on through, mate. I don't want to have any fight with you whatsoever. So for a couple of corners, Williams was leading the race. It's now Langley back out in front. Wolfsky has now come into the pits. And where's that going to feed him in? He's going to drop behind Bolton. So Bolton, after a bad start to this race, has worked his way up very, very well. He was racing with Argent. Argent's ended up dropping further back. He's 18th in the end. So yeah, 22 has got a drive-through, and that is Argent. Another drive-through. That's 3 drive-throughs that's come up now. So 3 drive-through penalties, and I think that might be a strike there for you, Old Sim Racer. Don't touch the yellow curbs is what I said, and if you touch them, that's going to be a strike. Now, when does Williams pit? I think he's going to hang it out for as long as he possibly can. With the amount of, you know, strikes that are coming up at the minute, Wolfsky was just ahead of him, and he's ended up ahead of Greaves. So Greaves has made a bit of a recovery, but I think a few of these are going to lose out, and Williams, I think, will lose out in the end. Depends how long the stop is. But again, no real close fights other than Flores and Leach. Leach is now onto the back of the Aston Martin. Oh, wrong button. That's cleared by Argent already, so he's got that done and dusted. Gary Leach in the Porsche, coming up against the Aston Martin. Bit brave doing it in turn 8, but he's a little bit braver on the brakes around the inside, and job done. Flores losing out there. Obviously, he's still yet to make a stop. Wolfsky trying to hunt him down. There we go, another one. Johnson again gets a drive-through, so that's 4 drive-throughs now that we've had. I believe someone in the chat said 8. Remind us what you guys said in the chat for penalties. You see now Wolfsky's onto the back of Flores, and that's just how much Flores has been struggling. He's had a couple of good rounds this season, and tonight has not really gone his way. He's bounced over the curb, he's coming in the pit lane. That's going to help Wolfsky out, less stress for him, and through he goes. Sam Greaves is on the back of him, so this Leach Wolfsky Greaves fight is relatively close, and they're all trying to hunt down Unsworth. And Vitas now starting to bring the gap down to Williams, and you see Craig further back going incredibly wide, and Old Sim Racer starting to catch Archer. Fandango still in 7th, Bolton in P8, and we got Flores in pit lane now. Johnson still to do his stop. Nuke Waste still have to do his stop as well. Once again, not real much happening at the minute. So the close fight is this fight, 10th, 11th and 12th. Oh no, sorry, Tucker and Atherton, but I think Tucker's already done Atherton. And Johnson's still being told. No, Tucker's attacking Atherton at the minute, only 8/10 behind him. Let's see what he can do against the Lexus driver. Down towards the back straight. You won't see the McLaren touch that Lexus because Lexus is mighty in a straight line. Meanwhile, Sam Greaves has brought the gap down to Wolski. Looks like Wolski's had a better middle sector, and again, that's the Lexus just being brutal in a straight line. So a couple of mistakes and a couple of fights happening here. That's allowing Williams just to maybe possibly keep the gap to the rest of them. The pit stops here. It's quite a long pit lane, but it's quite quick in and out. But as we go into the final half of this race, or the final quarter of this race, Langley has just been in complete and utter control here, and Leach has caught Unsworth. Unsworth made a mistake somewhere, and here he comes. And Leach has already passed him. Leach has already done him. So Unsworth there just struggling at this moment in time. So Leach now gaining a position and working his way up. Is that possibly the tyres helping him out? Fandango, meanwhile, has caught old Sim Racer. And there you go. Lexus Power versus Ferrari. And Fandango gets the job done. And absolutely annihilates the Ferrari. Drive through for track limits once again for Johnson. Reminder to him that he needs to come in and serve that as soon as he possibly can. Now Williams finally decides to pit and stop and go now for cutting the corner. That's Johnson once again. Oh no. Oh God. Not good for Johnson. Oh, it was looking so good for Johnson, and then it's just another stop and go that's hit him hard there. Williams has now pitted. He's going to lose out to Bolton here. Leach is now coming out of the pit. So Williams actually a good stop there. He's jumped Wolski as well. So a big jump there for Williams, and he stays ahead of Leach, who's currently 7th. So 6th place for him. And we got Greaves going side by side with Unsworth there, and Unsworth loses another position. And through goes Unsworth. Through goes Greaves, I mean. So Greaves gaining a position there. And in the end, Williams coming out in P6. That's worked out brilliantly for him. He's had a great Paul Ricard. And that's where the strategies start to kick in. 20 minutes left of this race. And pretty much everyone's done their stop except for Johnson and Waste. That is all we are waiting for now. As Leach now tries to hunt down Williams. Is that the fresh tyres now starting to come into effect? Is Leach starting to hunt them down bit by bit? And through the fast right-hander goes Williams. Leach still keeping ahead of this group as well. Nice to see Gary Leach back on form once again. He had a great round in the Who Darren Cup last night as well. And while we've got not a lot going on, I thought I'd actually have a look at the driver's information. We've got a new one done. Hopefully it's... let's have a... We'll go on board with this man, Wolski. He is Polish. So nice to see him out on track, and his he's got a YouTube and Twitch account if you fancy following him. Przmek, Przemek, a Polish driver, and he was born in the 31st of January 1992. And if I can do quick maths, that is 33 years of age. And in his description, I've always been interested in rallying and racing since he was a little kid. My first steps were on a game in CMR2. Obviously, when I was 7 years old, I then played Need for Speed Underground, and he played a Jeff Cransmid's Grand Prix 4. My first proper sim racing experience was in 2015 on the Logitech MO wheel and rally and modified a Richard Burns rally on the Czech servers. Then I had a few years break and then came back in 2022 doing it on Dirt 2.0, AC and a little bit of ACC. He runs the Fanatec CSL DD8 Nm with the Club Sport V3 pedals and with the McLaren GT3 wheel on it as well, and WRC for rally events. Also, his favourite car is what he's driving at the minute, the BMW M4 GT3. His favourite forms of motorsport is F1, WRC, WRX, MotoGP, and all of his favourites. But he watches WEC, DTM, and others as well. He couldn't pick a favourite driver, but up there is Kubica, Verstappen, Piastri, Stoner, Marc Marquez, Oliver Solberg, and Estrin as well. Doesn't have a favourite track actually, and his favourite race car of all time was the VW Polo R Supercar. I'm guessing that's the rallycross car that was in rallycross. His current job at the minute is a structural steel engineer, and other information as well. He just loves racing and almost any kind, especially MotoGP. He admires WRC and WRX, but he also watches F1 since the mid-2000s and can't stop now. Sim racing enables him to understand real racing and much better like nothing else. It's amazing to feel like the guys racing in real life and watching them on TV. The focus, the stress, the frustration, and all the others' emotions can be actually understood a bit when you're experiencing it yourself online, and I think that's beautiful. So that's strong words there from our Polish driver Wolski, and he's trying to give Gary Leach a strong attack. Meanwhile, there's a fight going on between B. Craig and Smith. And they're going at it. The Lexi's industry driver, I believe he's possibly the leading bronze driver. Yes, he is. And he's now trying to give Craig a bit of a hard time. Betterson was the leading bronze driver, but he's dropped further back due to pit lane drive-through, the track limits. And Smith there looking to make a move around the outside, can't get the job done. But he's had a better exit by the looks of things. He's now going side by side with Craig. He's looking to possibly be on the outside of the fast right-hander. But I think he might get the McLaren done in time. Yes, he will, and Craig thinks better of it. I'll try to find another Pro-Am driver that's filled out the form. And just like I said, just to give a little bit of knowledge and information to drivers. Now this is where everything's starting to come together with the strategies all working out. Looks like Williams is going to start having a little bit of trouble from Leach and a few others as well. Greaves is on the back of Wolski. Cabino is now attacking Unsworth. Unsworth has just been struggling ever since the stops. We got DJ Phil, who's filled out the form. Phil Atherton is his full name. He's English and he was born on the 7th of January 1986. I'm trying to do quick maths. That's 39. Yeah, 39 he is. He played Project Cars 2 with SimPlay Motorsport and got into sim racing and playing ACC on a Wednesday night on Pro-Am. He's currently running on the controller, but he does have a G29. ACC's favourite car, he likes the Lamborghini, but he also likes the McLaren, he loves the Mercedes and maybe the BMW. By the sound of things, he's not a massive fan of the Lexus. Unsworth there looking like he's pulled a bit of a gap on Gabino. and that is kind of stale there. And once again, Gary Leach has brought the gap down to Williams, but he's dragged Wolski Greaves with him, so this could get very interesting at the end. His favourite forms of motorsport is BTCC and F1, and his favourite driver is Lando Norris. Favourite race car is either the Mercedes or the McLaren. He jobs and hobbies outside of work is outside of sim racing. Sorry, he's a radio station owner / presenter on Radio Sheen and Ethnic Mike Wales, and watches TV lights on London's burning classics. He likes watching Coronation Street as well and just catching up on Manchester United. Doesn't have a job, but obviously the DJing is partly that. And that's pretty much everything you need to know about DJ Phil, which is nice to see him put some information in. And now you can see there, Leach has brought the gap down. Cabino still can't find a way through on Unsworth, but it looks like Betterson has got Tucker for company. No, Betterson has passed Tucker and is now onto the back of DJ Phil, so this could get quite spicy. And while we are watching Betterson, actually he has filled in the form. Richard Paul Betterson was born the 16th of July 1975, so he is 50 years old. I'm quite impressed with my maths tonight, I think, even though I'm probably horrendously wrong, but we will see. Gary Leach now within a couple of tenths of Williams, as is Wolski, and Reeves is going with them as well, so it's going to get real spicy towards the end of this race. Quickly run through Betterson. His favourite car is the Ferrari 296. He likes to watch all forms of motorsport. His racing heroes is Ayrton Senna and Roy Hosmel. His favourite track is Donington Park, and his favourite race car of all time is the Subaru Legacy WRC. Jobs and interests outside of racing is family and films. He's a stock controller, and his other inspirations as well is Michael J. Fox. So obviously he has, I believe it's Parkinson's. Is it Parkinson's he has? I believe it's Parkinson's. As Leach there looks up the inside of the final corner, Williams will get the better drive, the better run, and they go towards turn number one. And obviously the Porsche is mighty out of the corners, and job done for Gary Leach, I think, as Williams tries to brake later, but he's not going to. He's going to fall into place, and that was relatively easy for Leach in the end. And now Wolski plans to plan an attack on the back of the Lamborghini driver. Pushing the limits there. And there we go for Wolski. Drive-through penalty for him. So that might allow a little bit of breathing space for Williams, knowing that Wolski has a drive-through to now perform. He gets quite close to the back of the Lamborghini driver. They're running a little bit wide, but he's now pulling away from Williams. Williams still though a solid job here. He's going to be in trouble because he's got the BMW right behind him. Now if I was Williams right now, I would not fight that BMW too hard. He's got a drive-through that he has to serve, so you might as well just let him go. Try not to lose too much time, and I don't think Wolski's really planning to attack either, knowing that he's got the drive-through as well. So backed out of that one. So that's now 4 drive-throughs, I believe that is. Meanwhile, Wolski's got his own hands full because he's got Greaves behind him. And there is Sam Greaves looking to go around the outside of Wolski. But I don't understand why Sam's fighting him so hard. It's better off just backing off and just letting him go. Yes, he's going to lose a little bit of time to the cars in front, but it's only a sector. He has to wait. Gabino, meanwhile, has finally got the job done on Unsworth, and he's now up a position. And Tucker's now onto the back of Atherton. As you can see there, your race leader in the middle of all of this, and Wolski is in. So at the minute, Williams losing 1 place at the minute, and that's only to Leach. He's now going to try and hold off Sam Greaves. even if he loses that to Greaves, that's still a top 8 position. He'll be very happy with that one. His best couple of results this season so far for Williams. He's really struggled in the Lamborghini, but he's now seemed to found a rhythm here at Paul Ricard. We are now into the last few minutes here. Tucker now looking to attack Atherton, and he goes a little bit wide. He makes a mistake there. Unsworth's trying to give Garbino a little bit of a hard time towards the end here, but it's now looking like Greaves looking to try and attack Williams at the very end here. Benny Archer, another one who's filled out the form for us. He's an Australian, and he's 32 years of age. His birthday is 29th of March, and he got into sim racing with his brother-in-law, who started back in the COVID times, and he's got a Logitech G29 on the PS5. His favourite car is the Ford Mustang, and he's part of the Greasy Bandits stable. His favourite motorsport races are V8 supercars, WRC, motocross, and supercross. Favourite circuit is Mount Panorama, and his favourite all-time race vehicle is any V8 supercar. Other hobbies as well, he likes to play the drums and also rugby league, and he's got a few rugby supporters as well that is his sporting heroes, like Billy Slater and Cameron Smith, both retired rugby players. Motto, do or do not, there is no try. A good old Yoda saying there. And Peter Brook and Chad Reed is his favourite drivers and bike riders. And one other driver we have to fill out the form as well. We'll go through that, but looks like Greaves has brought the gap down to Williams, so it's going to hot up right at the very end. And Bolton has caught Old Sim Racer here, but your top 3 looks unfazed, and Bolton now looking to be the best of the rest. Ferrari from Langley, who's been absolutely dominant out in front, not seen another car pretty much this race. As I will now get the driver of the day ready for you guys. This Old Sim Racer now having to defend from Bolton. And Bolton looking to the outside, job done, and Old Sim Racer not fighting that at all. Bolton goes through and job done for him. And Leach now, see if he can gain these guys right at the very end. And Williams has actually lost out to Greaves, so that straight line advantage of the Lexus has helped him out there. And now Greaves drops down and moves up a place, and Williams drops down a position. The pit window has closed. And Wolski now onto the back of Smith. There is a poll for a driver of the day, so get your votes in on who you think driver of the day is. Again, if you don't agree with me, then please put in the chat who you think is your driver of the day. And Sam Greaves now holding on to that P7 position and pulling away from Williams. Leach, meanwhile, is hunting down Old Sim Racer and Bolton. I don't think he's going to get Bolton, but Old Sim Racer is definitely on the cards. And Wolski trying to get past Smith. Betterson now onto the back of Archer. And as we look to Old Sim Racer, who's being hunted down by Gary Leach, he has filled out no, sorry, this is not who I'm thinking it is. It's not Old Sim Racer, it's Rob Smith, who is your leading bronze driver, who's now been passed by Wolski. He's filled out the form. 10th of May 1975. He's an English driver, and he's been into sim racing obviously since the early 1980s, thanks to F1, Xbox Series X on a Fanatec Club Sport wheel, and he likes all the ACC cars, and he's part of the Lexus Industries his favourite motorsport is F1, also GTs and touring cars. His sporting heroes are Mansell, Hill, Verstappen and Norris. Favourite circuits, Bathurst, Silverstone and Le Mans. Favourite race cars of all time, the GT40 Porsches and 60s Americans GTs. Other hobbies are cars in general, cycling, MMA and gaming. His jobs, he's actually disabled, so he used to be a manager of human resources team. Fights happening at the minute. Patterson's just dropped off the back of Archer, and Leach has brought the gap down to Old Sim Racer. And I can't say his motto because it's basically the F word and it. So yeah, which pretty much sums up most people's mottos and ways of thinking in life. Gary Leach, though, coming to the very end of this race, has hunted down Old Sim Racer, but he might possibly run out of time unless he does a do or die moment right at the very end. Betterson still giving Archer a bit of a hard time, and Atherton has been passed by Argent. But Leach now half a second behind Old Sim Racer. Where is Langley? He's into the final corner, so he will start his final lap here. Not seen much of him. But here is the fight we want to keep an eye on. Gary Leach versus Old Sim Racer. And Porsche has looked very good, to be fair, in this feature race. Gary absolutely flying. Flash of the lights there, giving him a warning, saying, look, I'm coming, mate. Watch out. And Gary sending it through turn 8 very, very aggressively. The Bolton's just up the road, so if he has got significant pace, it's got to be a change of tyres for Gary Leach here. He's absolutely flying at the minute. Into the final few corners he goes. Can he just find a way through? Betterson still hasn't found a way on Archer either. Is he going to look to the final corner? No, he's not close enough. And Gary Leach has a snap. He has a big moment going through the final few corners here. Into the final corner he goes. Well, this has been going on. Sam Greaves has been going with them. So one lap to go. Can Old Sim Racer hang in there? Gary Leach, though, with a great run out the final corner. And looks like Old Sim Racer's like, yeah, nah, mate, you can have that one. He loses out in 5th, but he will gain 6th place overall instead of losing more time to Greaves. So Leach does get him. Meanwhile, Betterson, has he finally got a move done on Archer up the inside? No, he hasn't. And that's the fall back into position. So Bolton is just going through the left-hander. I don't think Leach will get near him. As Langley, meanwhile, I forgot all about him, comes through the final few corners here. He has been unstoppable all race. Put it on pole, took the fastest lap and has not looked back. Quantum Motorsports driver Langley, Gray Langley, is going to come home for a race win. Congratulations to him. He wins the feature race and extends his championship lead over this man in second. Avitas in the end, second, and best of the rest is all he could achieve today. But nonetheless, it has been a great drive from him. Solid points once again, and second in the end for Vitas. Birthday boy Vandango is going to make the podium, and he is going to finish P3 in this one. Did Leach catch Bolton in the end? No, he didn't. Sam Greaves is now onto the back of Old Sim Racer. Betterson didn't get Archer in the end. It was very close, but right to the very end. But Fandango, birthday boy, comes home, and P3 for him. A great podium for himself. Bolton in the end finishing in P4. A good recovery drive considering everything that happened in that race. Old Sim Racer defending right to the very end now against Sam Greaves, and Greaves I think will get him to the line. Bolton 4th, Leach 5th, and Greaves does get him in the end, 6th in the end. Old Sim Racer 7th. Williams a strong P8 with Gabino in P9, just ahead of Unsworth. Aberdeen is going to come home for 11th place position as well. Solid drive from him. Unsworth 10th. Aberdeen in that 11th place position in his Audi. What could have been for Wolfsky if he didn't get that drive through in the end? 12th for him. Smith comes home in that 13th place position. Craig in 14th. And the rest of the order, Archer from Betterson, from Argent, from Atherton, from Tucker, from Flores, from Wheel, from Waste, from Bell. And we lost Johnson, and we also lost Bosch and VLF as well. But Langley takes another win on that one, as I will now get the highlights ready so we can do the interviews in a few moments time. Save the highlights, but I'll be back in a few moments time. I'm just going to switch everything over, but have a quick look at our fantastic Patreons, and I'll be with you in a few moments time. So just wait for the tables to be updated. We do have your feature race winner joining me in the party. Gray, it's been a great night for yourself. The sprint race didn't quite go to the way that you expected. But either way, you still gained some decent points, but a good feature race as well to have also.
Yeah, I just got unlucky in the sprint. Feels like no matter if you try to keep yourself out of trouble, you just get run into the back too, or run into the backup. But I knew I could make up for it in the feature race. I knew I had the pace, and as long as I could still be ahead at the beginning of the second sector on the first lap, I knew I could pull away. I was pushing a lot first stint because I knew Fandango was on high fuel, so I was pushing hard to clear that like 27-second delta from taking tires to not taking tires. I was trying to clear that gap, and it was close around the pit stops, but he ended up taking tires anyway. I don't think on the Lexus the tires would have been that great, but I didn't want to be stuck behind it like I was in the sprint. Yeah, a bit silly for me on the sprint on the final corner as well. I should have just played it safe, taken my points, but I can learn from that, so that's good. Good pace. Took 3 weeks to show it. First race in 3 weeks because no Misano, and then last week obviously. So it feels good to be back racing, to be back pushing. I wanted to ask you, how was the race? Because I don't know, I was just driving by myself out there.
It was pretty dull from my view. There was not much going on, to be honest. I think that's the classic Paul Ricard. But like you said, you haven't been racing in a while. Obviously the Pro-Am's missed out at Misano, and then obviously we come and have another week off due to Xbox being a bit rubbish. Tell us about the Ferrari in general. It looked well planted, it looked well suited around here. Obviously the straight line wasn't too much of an issue either. You seem to have everything under control, and a very, very dominant feature race by the sounds of things.
Yeah, I actually in the sprint I picked up I think 25 or 26 seconds of damage, but
ouch.
Even so, the Ferrari felt beautiful in the corners, and luckily the bodywork damage I picked up was only affecting drag, so I was a duck on the straights, but through the, I mean, I think I was still doing 55s even with that much damage. I know it was a bit lower fuel, but still that was decent pace. I just got unlucky for Sam to come out right ahead of me, because I was only 2 seconds off Vitas, and like I said in the party, I was in the fact that I could see him, I felt like it was a miracle at that point. I should have just taken what I had. But yeah, the feature race, I couldn't ask for any more. It was planted. Yeah, I need to run a higher rear wing because the Ferrari's not a fan of lower rear wing with the aero balance. But still dropping the ride height a bit just to get it planted, and just looking after the tires as best you can, or being smooth, because the moment you're slightly erratic around here, you're going to slide the tires and they're just going to heat up, wear out. Like, you have to be very smooth, especially around the fast right-handers. Make sure to not throw your rear end out too much, or your tires will just be melted. But yeah, Ferrari did a good job at protecting the tires, I will say.
Well, there you go, Pro. There you go. That's a little tip there from Langley there. Look after your tyres and be smooth. Obviously, last night I kind of got things modelled up. I got my calendar all modelled up. I knew it was a night race next. I thought it was Laguna. It's not Laguna. It's Suzuka next on the calendar. What's the thoughts there? Obviously, the first night race of the season, a very fast and technical circuit. And how do you think about Suzuka? Is it a circuit that you're probably going to be strong at, or is it somewhere you think you might struggle?
Funny thing is, I've done Suzuka night race before on when I used to sim race on wheel. I love the track on wheel. I don't know how I like it on controller yet, but I do in some ways compare it to Coda, just more punishing, especially with the S's. You have to be pretty precise. I love the track in general. I mean, some people hate it because it's terrible to race at, but I love the challenge it brings. 130R in these cars is right on the edge, so that's really fun to take. And watch out for track limits and side-by-sides there next week. But a couple night races. I might. Next week might be the first race I miss. I don't know. But if I do race, I won't be on my usual setup that I am. But hopefully I still can race. I can't be losing too many points, or I don't want to lose too many points.
Well,
so
what will end up happening is your drop score will kick in at that point, so your worst score will become 0, and you'll gain points back, basically.
Yeah,
so,
but my Spain was quite rubbish, so I don't want that to be.
I don't know what your Spain result was, but either way, whatever points you lose there, you would gain back in a sense. So instead of, you'd score 0 for the next round, but then you would gain back the Spain points that you lost. So what was it? Barcelona 13th and 26th. So you would gain 36 points back, basically. That's how that would work out. But either way, it's been a good night's worth of racing. You've extended your championship lead as well. You now leave Paul Ricard 61 points ahead. So you lost a little, but still.
Oh, okay. I was about to say, I didn't think I extended it.
You went down quite significant in the sprint, and then you re-extended it again in the feature. So
yeah.
With the pole, fastest lap, and obviously winning the race.
I forgot that Paul got a point, so that's good.
And nonetheless, mate, congratulations on the win tonight, and best of luck if you're able to race at Suzuka as well, mate.
Appreciate it, thank you.
And that is it for the feature race here at Paul Ricard, and in the end, Fandango wins driver of the day. For me, I'm gonna have to give it to Williams. I think it's did his best result yet. He's had some top 10 finishes, and it's been a struggle for him. So Williams gets a shout out from me. But Fandango, birthday boy, gets driver of the day. Very good all night. But Langley continues on through, extends his championship lead. Well, a little bit lost here and there, but he will be heading to Suzuka in a relatively comfortable position. That's it been for the Pro-Ams. We will catch you tomorrow night with Matthew Duffin and Kelly Davis bringing you all the action there. And we shall see you tomorrow night for more racing action here at Paul Ricard. But from me and the Pro-Ams, it's a good night.